Coming up, we got hot temperatures,
And I know why.
the box does not want to close.
Just completely opens by itself.
We refer to a user manual,
Bags are not labeled. Time to look at the manual.
and of course use some keyboard boxes for an airlift.
All right, I'm very excited about this. Really, I feel like more ITX cases should follow the max approach, integrating a power supply and cooling all in one. The NCORE 100. Min-maxing your build, I love that. And wow, this thing is surprisingly thin. Of course, it does take up some vertical real estate, but the footprint on your desk is absolutely minimal. Perhaps the biggest hilarious challenge would be the stability of this thing on your desk, but just to give you an idea of how truly compact this thing is, I mean, look at this. It's just barely bigger than a PS5 controller. Absolutely insane. I mean, come on. However, it is fairly tall, so about 2 cars worth of Technic, if that means anything to you. Here's a Strix 3080 for size reference, although it might appear a little tall right next to a 27-inch display. I do love this ventilation pattern that mimics Cooler Master's HQ in Taiwan, but man, this thing is very vertical. The biggest advantage of this whole vertical space is the GPU compatibility, because we have all that height, and here it is next to the Corsair One or the TERRA. Just for size comparison, it is much bigger. I do have both colors available. I think it's the bronze that I'm going to be building with.
Wow, this is absolutely gorgeous.
Wow, especially when the light hits it, it is a gorgeous color. The accessories for the NCORE 100 Max are a little different. We have the additional mesh because we can extend the frame. We have some individually sleeved cables for the power supply, of course the power cable, and a bunch of AIO mounting for different motherboards. Definitely recommend you memorize this sticker because getting inside is toolless, but it does require a certain pooling pattern. All right, this one is off. The top just pops off as well. Very nice and simple. Oh, okay, this wasn't actually that difficult at all. I would say the built-in filters on the side panels could be slightly better. I mean, like, they're coarse enough to let air through, but the issue might become when the fans are too close to the side panel. It might introduce noise and turbulence, but it looks like you can remove this filter with these little plastic pegs and it simply comes out. Looks like there's some careful packaging over here to protect the motherboard area and the AIO pump. I'm very excited for the fact that everything is already pre-routed for your cables, you know, specific length and stuff, so we shouldn't encounter the traditional ITX issues that we normally deal with when it comes to cable management. This is cool, an unlock latch, one on the bottom, one at the top. Just have to not forget how to put it back together. Oh, okay, here we go. Oh, okay, that's easy. Lock and lock. Nice. My main thing is that I'm really interested to see exactly how thick this radiator is. It seems like removing that side bracket gives us access to the radiator bracket. Just 2 screws. Let's see, does this just pop off somehow? Oh, yes it does. All right, so let's see, can we get to it? So it looks like I can remove the radiator and we can finally take a look at this AIO. All right, so yeah, it is a bit thicker. The radiator is around 37 to 38 millimeters. Definitely will help with cooling, especially because it's only a 120 mil. Interestingly, it is actually the AIO that adds the main bulk in the vertical space, because adding the bracket at the top, you can see how much taller the case becomes, because without it, and let's say minus a few centimeters at the bottom for the AIO to exit, it's practically the same size as the TERRA, but in a vertical format and not horizontal. I do have some reservations for this top area for exhaust, partially because half of it is blocked by the PSU that will also contribute with its own heat, because that's the exhaust side. So we have some cutouts, but placing a fan over here, you can see how restrictive, I mean, half of it is going to be working properly and half of it not so much. This 120mm exhaust fan will definitely help with GPU cooling and also additional ambient temperatures for the motherboard area. The power supply is 850 watts, gold rated ATX 3.0. It is an SFX unit as well. But the hero feature for me are these absolutely 2-length cables for ITX machines. I love that it's a single screw away, so nothing is hiding behind panels. Everything is totally accessible. If you were to swap anything out for RMAs or modding purposes, that's how it should be. This will definitely avoid some headaches, but you can see the power supply comes with the on position by default. Although I do find it strange that all the cables are pre-routed with these reusable cable ties and not zip ties. I'm guessing it's good, like in case you want to open it and put something else in there, but I do not like working with these whatsoever. So many in this riser cable area. Let me just take this off so I can clean this up later. And speaking of cables, we have a 450 watt 12 volt high power cable for the GPU. It's at 90 degrees and it's fairly short to accommodate for, this ITX system. But if you have older cards, we have 3 8 pins included for the power supply. Now storage is limited to a single SSD right underneath the motherboard chamber, which is very easy to access and to route. Plenty of space over here, and the SATA cable is included for the power supply. But what's really cool with the NCORE 100 is it's very clever design to expand the GPU chamber without expanding too much on the footprint of the enclosure, but allowing you to fit really thick cards and really long cards at the same time. Here's the first stock GPU fitment. The Strix 30 fits without any issues. It's almost triple slot. And the side panel will go just outside of the frame, giving you a tiny bit of clearance between the fans and the side panel. I mean, putting the side panel in place, we have about a centimeter between the GPU and the dust filter.
I mean, this new fan is something else, with regular and reverse models available to create that clean look without compromising the airflow direction. Like these bottom fans are set to intake, but look like the rest of the fans on the enclosure. It's brilliant. They cleverly daisy chain with snap-on bridges, and all these bits cover up the uglies, so you never have to worry about the looks or the cable management, as it's just one cable. This is what the premium Dirge 30mm performance fan should look like, the new Fantix D30.
And now it's time to figure out how to get to the other orientations with the case. The second orientation allows us to install a longer graphics card by moving this whole GPU mount down slightly. So these extensions at the bottom are removed, so this can go back in without any issues. But now I have to also relocate 2 little poles holding our riser card. The good thing is that the screws for everything are pretty much identical, except for the very bottom PCI bracket mounts. Can I remove something here to get access? Maybe let's take off the feet. Now we have access. The feet are out. Let's see how much length we gain with this configuration. My only concern now isn't really additional length, is this minimal gap here at the bottom. So you would need like a really short 90-degree DisplayPort or HDMI for this configuration to work properly. And nothing is included in the package too, so this is on you. With the chamber extended, you gain 20 centimeters at the back here, so if you have really long graphics cards, this is a really good option. But actually the fun in the GPU chamber does not stop there, because you can make it wider to support 79mm thick GPUs. Otherwise, in this configuration, you can only do up to 62. You can see there are 2 positions for the bottom foot, allowing you to install it in the second position, making the case slightly wider. 1, 2. Then we also have to move this corner spine, but that's easy. It has 2 positions by default. 2 screws. Here you can see that second position, and I really start to appreciate how modular this whole frame is. And now the moment of truth to see if it will mount my biggest graphics card on hand. This is the 4080 Aero 4-slot. So lengthwise, oof, it just fits with that first extension, and the second extension is also necessary for the 4 slots to fit. But my goodness, I think this is gonna slide in without any issues. Oh my god, I even have a centimeter to spare at the back there. Wow, this is really impressive. No freaking way. And that 90-degree connector, is it facing the right way? Oh my god, it's facing the right way. Wow, now that is a very clean cable routing job. Beautiful. Honestly, this is really impressive that it can fit my Aero 4080 without any issues. And this whole reconfigurable GPU chamber is super, super clever. Being able to both extend it lengthwise without affecting the width, but then also giving us that width factor to accommodate exactly graphics cards like this. Just to give you an idea how much clearance we have with our 340mm length GPU. So this is where the AIO would sit, and you need some clearance underneath for the fan to not be completely choked, both by the graphics card and the power supply. So it seems like you still have just under 2 centimeters there for that fan to breathe. Cooler Master definitely made the right decision to include this 12-volt high-power cable that is at 90 degrees, because most of the time with ITX, needing to deal with the PCIe cables is constantly a challenge, but this is kind of already nicely built in. All right, which panel goes where? And what's really cool is that the case in the most expanded configuration does grow a little bit, but that's not an issue for the side panels because of how they're mounted. And the total footprint is just slightly bigger than the original, which is not really an issue. The issue is packaging. Case going in the expanded mode in the original box. So Cooler Master did not think of this through. So if you're trying to ship this, or this is from system integrators, this will not work unless you compress it or you cut out some of that packaging material on the interior to fit the expanded enclosure. It's such a lovely box with a handle too, but this isn't the solution. Just completely opens by itself. There's absolutely nothing in the manual about this, but you can see you can remove this additional piece beside the motherboard I/O that would allow you to, what seems to be, to move the entire motherboard spine towards the left side as well. So if you're in the expanded mode like I am now, you can utilize a little extra space in the motherboard area, which would give you potentially more room for the CPU cooler, which is not necessary because we have a built-in AIO. But it seems like this might have been in the works to give you more room for an air cooler, but there is no way for you to buy the non-max version of the NCORE 100 anyway, so I guess this is a nice feature for the future or for any modders out there. It would go like this, and the motherboard spine has screws all over. You have to disassemble, basically, you know, take out the power supply, take out the cooler, and move the whole thing over. And it will not affect the exterior exhaust fan over here, but it does require a little bit more work. Now this 4080 is absolutely massive. It cools very well. With this benchmark in my standard gaming machine, we are running at 51 degrees Celsius, which is super, super quiet. I'm curious to see what the temperatures would be like in the NCORE 100. Cooler Master, please do not disappoint. Since the whole building assembly is supposed to be simplified, I'm gonna time it starting now. That was a surprising amount of work for the I/O shield. Come on, not gonna lie, it's a little tight. Bags are not labeled. Time to look at the manual. All right, the motherboard's going in. Wait, no, these are the wrong screws. Why is nothing labeled? All right, block should be good to go. And which way do the tubes exit when you mount them? They are exiting towards the RAM. Block is mounted. RAM clearance is up to 48 millimeters. Still have to screw the motherboard in. Let's open this guy. The motherboard side is complete. I need a single 8-pin. I do like that the cables are labeled, so you know which end goes to the power supply. And that, my friends, is a system complete. I just have to close this panel, lock. Oh man, the chunky USB 3 cable is just on the way of the side panel. Oh, I put in the wrong panel here. Whoops, wow, I didn't know that. I guess they are the same panel. One just has the cutout for the motherboard I/O. The last thing would be this top panel. Let's see how long this took me. 21 minutes. To complete the NCORE 100. All in all, a very seamless process, and I can definitely spend more time cleaning up some of the cables, which is probably what I should do. But the moment of truth, let's see if this thing actually boots. Although, man, I really do not like how unstable it is on the surface. Like, this is flat, but it's still just wobbling all over the place. The fans are real quiet. We booted. You can see the CPU just hit 100 degrees Celsius, and I know why. This is hilarious. Someone forgot to peel. It's okay, even noobs make mistakes. Quick clean on the CPU. All right, back you go. All right, try numero dos. I mean, you can see the case is tilting, right? Is this Pisa or what? My bad, display port was the issue. Now, interestingly, the 4080 and the NCORE 100 Max stays absolutely under control and cool. It is a bit hotter versus my gaming machine, but my gaming full tower has 7 fans, like high performance fans. Here, there's only 2, one for the AIO, one for the case. It is a bit louder, of course, but still totally doable for a gaming machine. As expected, with the full expanded mode, there's no way you can fit an HDMI or DisplayPort cable with a proper 90-degree exit. And here's a better view of that exiting DP cable. You clearly see you need additional height for the case feet in the fully expanded mode. This is going to be a problem for many of you, for sure. Some clear solution would be to include some sort of spacers for the case feed. That way, if you're running the case in the expanded mode and you need additional room for your DP and HDMI cables, that would be included without needing to modify the entire chassis. I mean, the feet are already removable. You probably would have to rethink this power button, but otherwise this is clearly an oversight. Just for reference, here's what the GPU chamber looks like with the 4080 installed. It is completely open. I love that. So we have full access to our cable management. There's nothing poking the graphics card from any angle. The only thing is that you have to remove the feet in order to remove the graphics card, because in order to access the screw over there that's holding it in place, and we also have easy access to unclip the PCI bracket at the bottom over here. So all in all, this is a really well-designed chamber. Here's what the motherboard area looks like, and I have not touched it since doing my 21-minute assembly. You do have to compress the cables a little bit for the side panels to close properly, but otherwise everything is nice and open and accessible. My only complaint is this Cooler Master logo on the pump. Not a huge fan of it, and it sticks out a little bit like a sore thumb right through the ventilation pattern on the side panel. Here the dual Cooler Master logos, one the power button and one for the AIO pump. You cannot disable it because it's built into the 4-pin AIO pump header. I will say though, I'm not a huge fan of the IO placement. We do have USB-C full speed Gen 2 and 2 USB-A's, but it's kind of in this like awkward lower position. They are spaced out nicely, but still I prefer this to be somewhere else. And the power button at the bottom here will be a constant reminder not to tip the case over. As for temperatures, Cooler Master, I'm impressed, well done. On the CPU side, the temperatures are equivalent to my testing with a 240mm all-in-one cooler, all thanks to that thickness. And even though we have so much blockage, with the power supply and additional stuff with the frame, the cooler here is very adequate. We drop a few degrees by removing the side panels and the top panel too, but it's not significant. But the GPU temperatures, good people, are really impressive, especially because we have that exhaust by the AIO and that additional exhaust cooler at the rear. So it removes whatever heat is circulating in the GPU chamber, and that means a really cool running graphics card. I mean, it's competing with the NR200 and the Michelicious, both of which cannot accommodate such massive graphics cards like the NCORE 100 can. All in all, I love what Cooler Master has delivered here. The cooling on the CPU side is equivalent to a standard 240 AIO, which is really impressive, and that GPU chamber can accommodate massive GPUs for today's standards, which is exactly what some of the other ITX cases are missing because of the compactness form factor. But here, the footprint on the desk is absolutely minimal. You do have to accommodate for the height, but that is absolutely not a problem. The case is gorgeous and it's super easy to work in. You don't have to deal with cable management because everything is pre-routed. It is a little bit expensive, but it's much cheaper versus the competition like the NZXT H1 V2. And here you get a better power supply, which has 10-year warranty, and you have 2 years warranty on the case and the cooling product. So you can expect for some good longevity out of the NCORE 100 Max, I feel like. It's also cases like this that make entrance into the ITX market less intimidating, less complicated because of this whole cooling and power supply built in, ready to go. Just populate your motherboard, mount the block, install the GPU, and voila, All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. I'm Dmitry. I'll talk to you in the next video.